Have you ever secured your seat at the top table only to realise that you're still fighting to be the one that is actually commanding the narrative? Well, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to break through what I call the executive glass ceiling of silence. It's that invisible barrier that you come across where you're constantly rewarded with more responsibility, but you're quietly overlooked for real influence. You're the one keeping the ship afloat, but somehow you've been sidelined from actually steering it towards the horizon. Well, today we're going to change that. In this video, I'm going to cover leadership isolation, mapping high stakes impact, and creating a precision move that you can execute this week. If you're new here, I'm Penny Wood, and I help senior leaders and executives bridge the gap between having a seat at the table and actually shaping the direction of a business using my master move method. If you're ready to move out of those operational weeds and start driving the agenda, hit subscribe, join a community of leaders who are done with the status quo. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's talk about why you're feeling this friction, because the higher you climb, the quieter it can get. I call it this executive glass ceiling of silence, because when you're at the mid-level, lots of managers give you feedback, right? But at executive level, that tap often stops. People start treating you with that kind of careful politeness. Your team filters the bad news before it reaches your desk, and then your peers are often too busy guarding their own territory to give you any feedback. Now, because no one is really telling the truth, you start to feel like you've got to project it. You put on what I call that mask of certainty. And here's the trap. I see this pattern play out constantly with high performers. You become the safe pair of hands. Everyone knows if there's a crisis, you're going to fix it, right? You start believing that your value is around being the most reliable person in the room, the one that can put the heavy lifting back onto their own plate when things get messy. But look at what's actually happening. By being that fixer, you're unintentionally training the directors, the people around you to stop thinking, because your reputation of having all the answers creates a kind of silence where the team stops bringing you the ideas and they just wait for the instructions. Now, you think you're being that supportive leader by taking the pressure off them, but in reality, without realizing it, you can often be subtly sidelining yourself because you've made yourself too essential to the doing to ever be seen as the one steering the ship. You become a victim of your own reliability, if that makes sense. Now, the first thing you've got to do is break that silence. You've got to audit the noise and figure out exactly where your reliability has become your barrier to your authority. Okay, it's become like a barrier to your authority. Once you find out what's happening, you can have a look at how you're spending your time. I see a lot of senior leaders I meet, they're kind of stuck in the engine room and they're working very hard to hit their KPIs, keeping the wheels turning. But the problem is the senior leadership team doesn't look at the engine room when they're looking for visionaries. They look at the bridge. There's a massive assumption at senior leader level that busy equals impact. You think if you're the one to take on that extra project to fix that operational mess, that you're providing value. But actually what you're doing is you're proving that you're a high performing asset, someone who's too useful where they are to ever be really moved into a role that actually drive the agenda. And that's why you get stopped. Senior stature is about leverage, not volume. So I want you to challenge the idea that you need to be across absolutely everything. If you're fighting 50 small fires a day, you aren't leading, you're reacting. We want to map out where the real power lies. Think about your organization's current landscape. What's the biggest opportunity for change right now? Is it a cross-functional partnership? Is it a market shift that no one's really talking about? You need to be identifying where the biggest impact lies, because one high leverage move in the right room is where the real impact is made. You got to stop doing the work and start steering the ship, if that makes sense. Ask yourself, if I could influence one decision this month, which one would change the trajectory of my department? because that's where the focus belongs. So how do you pull the trigger on all of this? Well, you use what I call a precision move. I don't want you to overhaul the whole department tomorrow, right? That's not going to happen. I want you to pick one high stakes interaction that you can implement in the next 72 hours. Maybe it's a one-to-one with your CEO or your senior leadership team. Maybe there's a meeting coming up, or maybe you've got a strategy session with your peers, whatever it is. So here's your move. I want you to walk into a room and deliberately drop that mask. Find that one strategic question, the one that maybe you've been holding back asking, and I want you to ask it. Don't wrap it up in apologies, just put the truth out there on the table, and then use silence. Now, most people feel the need to keep talking to prove that they're in control, right? But the real authority is being comfortable in the quiet, in the silence. Ask the question, just relax, lean back, and let the room sit with it. Because what happens, something shifts when you do that. When you stop reacting to the pressure of having all the answers, you gain that precision to ask the one question that matters. And that's what I want you to aim for this week. Try it this week, and I want you to see how the room tilts towards you. Can't wait to see what happens when you do that. So the next step in your career isn't about working harder. It's about making the moves that count. If you're tired of that visibility void and you're ready to stop managing the chaos around you and start commanding the narrative and taking control, I've put together a deeper dive for you. Click the link in the description below to watch my Master Move Executive Summary. It's a 10-minute briefing where I lay out the full framework that I use in the Master Move method to help executives move out of the operational weeds of the engine room and start driving the agenda in the bridge. And if this has resonated with you, I'd really appreciate you giving the video a like and then share it with another leader who's currently fighting their own fires. Don't forget to hit subscribe to join me here on my channel, and I will see you next time.